All right, here we are in an old orchard. Do you remember this orchard? I am parked right on the easternmost boundary of it. And you can see there is not a living apple tree here, I don't think. If that changes, I will let you know. So remember this orchard? I planted these years and years ago. And the problem with apple trees is it ain't like the natural ones. No, indeed it is not. The natural apple trees that we plant and that we love and enjoy, like the 100-year-old apple tree, those ones tend to deal okay with deer and they survive. And once they get big, all of a sudden, wow, there's an apple tree. You can hunt under it and everything else. They feed the wildlife. Everybody loves them. Great asset. But when you plant them, they require an awful lot of work and maintenance and nurturing and carrying and spraying and pruning. And I did it for years. Got a few apples out of here, but the minute you stop doing it, kaboom, the whole place collapsed. This is part of the fall of the Kingdom of Bunjie that was detailed in my first book, the Death by Bunjie Crossbow story. How about that? The second book talks about how we've sort of rejuvenated that, and we've got a new plan going forward. That's the Death by Bunjie Crossbow method. I hope you'll check that book out. I am doing a different little segment here today. This is Food Plot Friday, right here in Crossbow Appreciation Month on Death by Bunjie. I'm shooting this video in my truck before I get out and get all sweaty. I'm going to get all sweaty right here in the truck because it is very hot in this truck, and it's a black truck. But it's great to have a truck. Holy cow. If you look in the back, look at that. I got a sprayer. I also got over there that blue jug over there. You can see it right there. That blue jug is 6 gallons of water, so I have additional glyphosate that I can pour in there and mix a second batch if I need to. And I don't even need to carry this all the way down into the woods. I don't have to carry all my fertilizer and all my seed and all the other stuff on a sled down to the woods and drag the sled back out. I'm still doing all hand tools. I don't have tractors. I don't have four-wheelers, none of that stuff anymore. Don't need it. Didn't last year when we did some great food plots, shot a nice doe right over there out in the woods on the ridge staging food plot, a little bait-sized food plot that I put in. And I'm putting in a bait plot here too, and a bait-sized food plot here, and I got to decide where I'm going to do it. When I started Death by Bunjie, I did a whole bunch of those. We did a lot of food plot related stuff. I've gotten away from that, sort of backed off of that, primarily because, well, number one, I didn't have access to the tools and all that other stuff. All the details of that are in the books, of course. But in addition to that, can you see it up there? Is it showing it? Can you see that yellow bird? Let's see if I can zoom in. It doesn't even mind that I'm here. Oh, what is that? I'll put the type of bird on the screen. There we go. Look at that. Wow, that's beautiful. So at least somebody is enjoying the dead apple trees here in this former orchard. That's a bird of paradise if I ever saw one. This must be paradise we're in here, right? Well, it's going to be, because I'm going to put a little food plot in here. I got away from doing the food plot videos. People don't subscribe to Death by Bunjie for food plot videos, right? I get very few likes, very few views, and not that that's the most important reason I do all this stuff, but I don't get as much traction, as much energy out of the food plot related videos, all the food plottery that we do. But I still think food plot is an important message. I still think that Death by Bunjie and that I have something to offer you and hunters in the nature of food plottery. I think that is something that is valuable. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put in a little bait-sized food plot here, document some of it, talk about what's going on here. And each Friday throughout Crossbow Appreciation Month, you're getting a food plot related video. I think people should know about food plots, even if you don't do them. That's what I think. I think it's fun stuff. And I think I should encourage you to eventually maybe even try to do some food plottery. Look how valuable this is. Already we saw that yellow bird. Already we saw that beautiful thing. And that has enhanced my day. As far as food plots are concerned, a lesson, I guess, out of this, we're going to spray today. And if you look out here, you'll notice, Rich, shouldn't you chop all that down? Shouldn't you mow it all first before you go out there and spray that? Holy cow, how are you going to spray it when it is, let's zoom right out. How are you going to spray all that when it's that tall? Well, I'm going to wade through it with a lot of bug spray, and I'm going to spray it with my backpack sprayer. That's what I'm going to do, or at least a part of it that I'm going to be hunting on. And I'm going to do that now while these plants are still alive and growing, right? I'm not going to chop it all down first because glyphosate, Roundup for the layperson, right, is foliar related. It works on the leaves, on the foliage. If you cut off all that foliage, chop it all down, now there's nothing to take in that Roundup until it starts growing back. Okay, so in other words, if I chopped it today, this is the end of July I'm doing this. Okay, August is just around the corner. I'm doing this before Crossbow Appreciation Month in anticipation of it. But I'll get all this chopped down after it's dead. And then I'll go through and spray again if I need to. But I'm doing a throw and a grow seed in here. This process has worked very well for me. If I do it right before a rain with some fertilizer, it will grow a banner food plot. I'm sure of that. I've done it over and over and over. And I have 3 bags of throw and grow. One of them is going on here, and it's going to be awesome. I'm going to put a blind over here. I'm trying something a little different. And I have to sort of think about this. I'm going to stand in the back of the truck, and we're going to decide where to put the blind. Because once you've put the blind in, the food plot's got to be between 10 and 30 yards away from that blind, right? That's our shooting distance. So there's no point in putting a food plot beyond that. Period, right? But I got to be able to get in and out of here. And I think I can walk straight down and get into a blind if I put it in there. The problem is, if I put it in this grove of trees right here, the problem is, it gives me a nice look at this, but as soon as the sun hits that horizon, the sun is now shining into my blind. That's no good. I could put a blind out there and face it north. A blind facing north always works. But this is the area where I wanted to do it because it's kind of protected by all this autumn olive, right? Creates like sort of a barrier around it. So the deer are going to feel pretty contained, pretty safe down in here, I think. About burned myself getting into the back of the truck. Holy cow, is it hot up here. Well, anyway, let's start with where we're at, give you a view of this stuff. If you look up there, you can probably see my blind. That was a blind I had out for, I'm letting it air out while I'm working down here. And I had it up there for the hunting of the woodchucks, right? And I drove right down through here. So I can finally get down in here without having to carry it all down in here. But I'm standing up here to give us a better view. Autumn olive everywhere. And I think that autumn olive provides a pretty good filter, right? A pretty good screen from the house. So I'm okay with it. I've walked in on deer right in here. They bed right here, right in the middle of the day. So going down to the well pad food plot, which is clear down here. The well pad's on the other side of this hedgerow. Can't really see it here, but that's the well pad over there. So there's a food plot I'll put in down there maybe. Again, I always have good luck down there. But that's because I always put a food plot down there. I think you get deer wherever you put a food plot. So I think we can make it work. But I'm thinking over in here, right in this region is the best because they bed over in here, or they come up that hedgerow, they come up out of the woods over here, they'll come into this food plot here. And if I am over here, tucked up under there, I think if I'm tucked up under there good, we won't have, if I'm tucked up under here, we probably aren't going to have a problem so much with the deer looking into the blind. I think maybe I can get away with it because they'll have that shadow of those branches. Now the leaves fall off the trees, that all changes. So heck with that. You won't be able to rely on that in the late season, but it's possible this would be a good earlier season hunting location. What I didn't do, and what you should always have when you're putting in a food plot, is a rangefinder. I don't have a rangefinder, so you know, I wouldn't spray beyond 30 yards. I would mark it off and just spray within 30 yards. With these dead trees here, I'm thinking what I can do though is, because I always mowed this, so this has stayed grassy, it is not, I always mowed around the trees with brush hog and haven't done that in years, as you can see, a few years, but I can still get in here good, I think, and spray right through here. I'll just spray a little bit of that area. What do you think? Spray this area, come back next week or 2 weeks, maybe next weekend we'll come back and spray it again. And then the following weekend, we come back and we weed whack it and pitch all the seed in there sometime in August. As long as I do it by the middle of August, we're good, right here in northeastern Pennsylvania. That stuff will pop up, be 6 inches tall by the time the deer start coming in here and get shot. Ooh, shh. Don't tell them that, though. We don't want them to hear that. They're probably listening in right now. This is what it looks like from ground level, okay? This is probably the deer's level. Looking in there. I could put it quite a ways back in there, okay, in this little grove of trees right here. I could probably put the blind right back in there looking out. I can go clear back to the other side of this because you'll be able to shoot out under these branches, right? I'll be looking at this level, and I think I've got a lot of room there to put a blind clear out in there. We'd be facing south instead of facing north. The sun isn't going to get in there as easy with all those branches there, even if the leaves fall off. One of the things I want to make sure we don't have a problem with is native vegetation. You may have read or heard lately that the milkweed caterpillar here, the monarch butterfly, is now endangered. So I don't like spraying or mowing milkweed. I want to encourage that stuff. Now, I'm not making a big disturbance here, but this is the kind of stuff that pollinators like too. And man, I hate to spray that. I'll spray right around it, plant right around it, not take it out of there is what I'll do. But we've got all this milkweed in here, and you can see it hasn't gone to seed yet. All right, and I hate to spray in here and get rid of that. I certainly would not want to chop it out of here. Right over in there is where the deer are all bedding out in this autumn olive. On the other side of that autumn olive, right out in there, there's a little clearing. And I'll see if I can poke my head out there. I am sprayed down heavy with Roundup. I'm sprayed down heavy with bug spray today. So we should not have problems with the deer and ticks and all that good stuff. But if you look out in there, see some of those apple trees are doing all right. Heck, we came this far. Let's go right out there. Let's wander. Oh man, maybe I should have driven down here. I now have a different idea. See, I've lost some trees here too. Like my buddy Mark Borchert says, it's not a dead tree, it's not a bad thing. It's an opportunity to plant a new tree. I got stuff on there to keep the bugs from rubbing, the bucks from rubbing. Look at that. Holy cow, every once in a while you get lucky in this world. Look at that, the nice blush on those apples. Those are pristine. Wow, that's a late season apple too. I don't know what variety this is. That one had a little bit of plum curculio up in there, but that's no problem. That's okay, that's all right. Look at that one, huh? Man, I should be eating these things right now. In fact, I'm gonna steal one of these. You don't need two of them growing right there. We'll let the one that's the least ripe, we'll eat this guy right here. I've had worse. Here's this dude. He's dead. I'll flash the varieties on here too. I've not pruned these because I didn't think I was going to be keeping the property. I'm not going to prune somebody else's trees, right? I feel guilty about it, I'll tell you. Mark Borchert, please forgive me. But I can tell you, we'll put wrappers on these this year because the property apparently staying in the family somewhat. So what are you going to do, right? So there's another one. This one has some small apples. This is an earlier season apple. These are the apples I should be eating right now. The plum curculio sure got to these. You can see the scars from that on there. But man, what a nice tree. So these are good. This guy bit the bullet there. There's our well pad down in there, you can see. And look at this beauty, huh? An early season apple. I'll put this on there. Oh, see, and they're already getting red. So we'll have some apples dropping in here. And this is the kind of tree down the road. When you look at this little orchard, look at all the apples on it. From here you can really see them. Well, I've just changed my plan. What do we need a food plot for? What we need is a blind down here. That's what we need. I think this might be a huntable, you know, that's a few apples. There might be 30 apples on there. That's 30 shots. That's 30 deer. I only got a couple of tags. But anyway, we'll look down here. And if you look, I could easily tuck a blind right in here. Put it right back in there, okay? Clean this out with a hatchet or something. Clean it out and shoot right at that tree. And in the meantime, put a food plot right through here. I could do a food plot, long skinny dude that wraps right through here. Right up there, as long as I'm careful not to let the spray get on the trees. There's no wind today. And I can carry that food plot right across over there. And maybe I would have deer come up out of the woods there, come up out of the woods there, feed in front of me while I'm seated there. Maybe even put a tree stand up there. That was the original plan. Put a tree stand up in the air right there on one of those trees. It's nice to have decisions to make. It's nice to have options. But maybe we'll do both. Maybe I'll put a blind here, hunt that apple tree, see what we got. Maybe we'll do a long food plot right across here and do two food plots. Right through here and over there. I am now in that little grove of autumn olive, and if you look out there, the nice trees are over there. The nice trees that are flowering for us and giving us apples and all that stuff, they're out in there. But if I'm down in here, I could clear out a spot to that tree if it's still appropriate. The other thing I can do, though, is put a blind right down in here Nice clear spot looking straight out through here, and that looks pretty sweet. Now there's a tree here, obviously, that I wouldn't want to spray on. Don't think that that's got enough apples to be hunting over, but those are late season apples. Those would drop later as opposed to earlier. And what I can do, I can spray right here. I can spray a plot over there and a plot here. Do a small plot here. Right clear back up in there, okay? This whole area. Wrapping around that tree, perhaps, okay? Wrap around that tree a little bit. And you can see that autumn olive from the deer's perspective. They're not looking at the house, right? They're not looking at the road. They're down in the hole here. We'll clean this all up. I can knock out as much of this as I have to over in here if I got to take that out of here. But then I can have my plot wander right out through there and do a second plot over there like we were talking about. Then you got two options, and I don't have to do as much work because I can just spread all the seed in one spot where I can easily access it with the truck, lime, and everything. That's what we're going to do. How about that? If you look clear out in there, that is elderberries that I planted. How cool is that? Years ago I did videos on this stuff. This is what you're going to need. You need some Roundup. That stuff got a little pricey this year because of all the stupid lawsuits. Nonetheless, I use half of that in there, and then I fill it up with water, and then I use half of it again for the second batch. That's how it's going to work. And right there's my 6 gallons of water ready to go. If we need a sickle today, a scythe, we got one. If we need a swing blade, we got that. Some other stuff I took out of the blind, that kind of good stuff. You need a handle. You need a handle for pumping. Need one of those. But these are handy little sprayers. I like these backpack sprayers. Throw them on there, walk around, lock the handle in place, puts it right out good. You can do the whole property here, this whole food plot that we're going to do. And I have it figured out, by the way. Right out through there, almost no milkweed. I'm going to spray around there and avoid that milkweed you can see right there. But I'm going to spray through here, make a plot, all this area. And then it's going to weave out over there, a little bit of a plot over there, just to give us an additional option where we were over there at the end of that hedgerow. So the deer will feed in here to make the way through there, and 2 different hunting locations. Maybe take 2 deer out of here. Who knows? All right, we are ready to go, ready for some spraying. I got the backpack on right there, got my wand, and I got my Hulk Hogan outfit on. That's to keep the sun off of my balding head. Boy, the stuff we got to do when we get older. Isn't it crazy? But nonetheless, we're going to take care of this, do some spraying. That is why you don't spray flowering plants like these, and why I like doing this stuff on a small scale. Look at that butterfly. It's just loving it. That dude is not going extinct. Not today. Look at this. This is why you don't mow milkweed. Do you see that? Oh man. Oh man. A monarch butterfly. That made my day. Wow. That is pretty cool. Let's get to spraying. I'm going to spray. What I'm going to do, I decided I got enough seed, enough glyphosate. Use it up this year. That little opening over there, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little opening over there behind me. That leads out to the first spot we were at, to the other spot where I'm going to put the food plot to. And I'm going to wrap it around through this little driveway here where the weeds were. I'll spray that today and do a little bit of a food plot on that end over there by that dead tree. The reason for that is I can put a blind in here, right? The blind can shoot off to the right in the early season. If there's any deer under that apple tree, I'll pitch a camera here today to make sure that I know. See if the deer are inspecting this area. I do see a little bed right here. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a little bed down there. So they have bedded here. But if they're coming in here for food and anything other than nibbling those apple tree branches like they've been doing, but we'll try to capitalize on that with a blind tucked in that autumn olive on the end of the hedgerow, shoot up this way, and then we can twist that blind, turn that blind to shoot an evening stand right out through there as a food plot, as the deer wrap around, come out of the woods, move up through here, that sort of thing. I think it'll work pretty slick. And what we'll do, see if that works, I can also do a morning stand over there where the sun might be peeking in the afternoons. We'll use that as a morning stand. So in the morning, I'll come in there, sneak in down from the house. The deer that bed right in this area that might go in there, I might get a shot at one of those. In the evening, I'll chase them out of here, go down there and sit, and then come back in and see what we got for an evening shot. That's a good plan. All right, got her back in there. Toyota, baby. Toyota power, the taco. Didn't even have to touch a second thing of water. This is what I love about food plots. Sitting in a blind right over here looking down the hill. And I'll be sitting here and all of a sudden you see deer poking their head in through here saying, hey, is it safe to go in? I'm going to go in there. And they're going to be looking straight at the blind the whole time, I'm sure. But nonetheless, they're going to like this future food plot. And I think we'll be able to shoot a deer here. This is an experiment for me. They always are. You should experiment with things. You should change them up a little bit, right? We shouldn't have exactly the same thing every year, right? I said that in my book, The Death by Bunjie Crossbow Method. It gets a little stagnant, a little stale. Shooting the same deer over out of the same tree stand with the same crossbow every year. You got to mix it up a little bit. This food plot will mix things up a little bit. It'll give me a shot opportunity. I think Bunjie would even be happier here, right? If a deer comes in straight on with Bunjie, I might take a head-on shot with those heavy zombie slayer arrows. That, friends of Bunjie, is what the Pennsylvania crossbow season, the 38, 43 days of awesome, however many days it is now, is, and that's what it means to me. Experimentation, having a great time with the crossbow, getting Bunjie out there, stretching those limbs, stretch his limbs a little bit, all 36 inches of them, and see what we can do in terms of deer, right? I'm going to leave the dead trees to give it some character. This plot will have a little bit of character. We'll leave those dead trees and that autumn olive there. I sprayed that heavy, but autumn olive, I believe, is glide resistant, Roundup resistant. I don't think it'll kill it. And I got to thinking, that might add some security for the deer if I left it there. So maybe that autumn olive right out there, this dude, I can't even see through this phone, it's so bright. But that dude I'll probably leave there, and the rest of the stuff I'll knock down. I'm going to come back in a week or so, and we're going to see in a week or so what the glyphosate did. Anything, I'm going to knock down all the big stuff. Everything that's dead, I'll knock it down. And anything that remains green, we'll get another dose. So we'll save that little dude to put in there. Yeah. What do you think of those apples? Well, actually, we do have apples, don't we? I got things to do. I'm going to head back, go get a shower, and get about my day. I'll see you next week on Food Plot Friday, and enjoy the rest of Crossbow Appreciation Month. Until next time, all hail Bunjie!